This is the story of the day that frame advantage changed forever. So this whole story started when I had got second place to DJT at this tournament. And so we came home and we were getting unlimited games and I was just trying to beat them. So we're sitting there and we're playing the Kung Lao mirror. And there's this button that you press that's supposed to be neutral frame-wise, right? And we both have the same button, but he's beating me out every single time. And I had enough. I rage quit. And so we're sitting there in the practice mode. Mind you, we're streaming this. This is on stream. And we're sitting there in the practice mode and scratching my head, doing it. I'm like, yo, keep doing this. Keep doing it. And he's beating me out. Come to find out, every single time I was crouching and he would do the button on me, the poke was beating me out. And I was furious. We couldn't figure out why. We're like, what is going on? So, come to find out, it was because every time I was crouching, it would beat me out. But when I would stand block it, then we would trade. And what the how? So, after doing some testing, because at the time, this was pre-patch Mortal Kombat X. And mind you, we had already gone through Mortal Kombat 9. We had gone through Injustice 1. And then this was MKX. This was the third game. And we were sitting there. And because this was pre-patching, Cassie's flip kick was 5 frames. We were practicing various buttons, crouching versus standing. And the things that were supposed to be punishable, that were -5, when we would crouch block it, it was no longer punishable. So after doing hella testing, we figured out that it was 2 frames off. When you would crouch block something that was supposed to be neutral, it would be +2. If it was +1, it was +3 now. If it was -1, now it was +1. And it changed the game forever. The next, Paulo Garcia, the head of NRS, the lead design, Paco Stevens, shout out. He was watching our stream that day. And the next day, literally the next day, this was at night. The next day, a hotfix comes out. We're like, what? And boom. They changed every piece of crouching frame data in the entire game. All staggers, all buttons. It was our biggest impact we've ever had on a game. Me personally. And what was crazy is this was throughout all of Mortal Kombat 9 as well. Like Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice 1, throughout the entire time, we would just think, oh, random frame advantage. And like Jax's, his low starting string, you would block the last part of it. And throughout all that time, we would literally call it random frame advantage. Like, oh, it's random if it's going to be plus or not. Injustice 1, the same thing. When you would crouch Superman's forward 2 or his like main string into his breath, because the second part of the string had a low laser, the next string would jail you. And we're like, why is this happening? And we just the entire time for years, mind you, MK came out in 2011, MK9. This was 2015 when we figured it out, middle of the game's life, like early to the game's life. And it was that day that changed everything forever. From that point on, now frame data is on point. And it was just the craziest impact that we've ever had on a game. To be honest, I was so geeked up, I couldn't even believe it. And that was games we were going through that. And crouching would leave you, and we thought it might have been a distance thing, like we didn't know what to call it. But come to find out, it was just because every piece of crouching frame data throughout the entire game was wrong. And that was a long time incoming. Throughout half of Mortal Kombat 9's life, we didn't even know frame data. Early MK9 days, we had no knowledge of frame data. And there was some guy named Somberness, shout out and rest in peace. He had ended up coming out on Test Your Might on the forums and dropping all the frame data on us. And we had no clue. He slowed down every piece of frame data, including the cancel advantage on when you would 2-in-1, like when you would do a string into a special move or a button into a special move, and then canceled it. He gave us all that frame data as well. And that was really where our scene started to be on the level up, and kind of everything changed from there. It was honestly so insane. So I'm just glad how far fighting games have come. And shout out to all you guys out here. And if you guys watch this video on YouTube, come through and hang out on the stream sometime. It's the same thing here as my YouTube. And we love to have you. Cheers, y'all.